But I think the first thing that I seen off yours, I was like, this guy is just a bit crazy, was that whole frog thing.
Oh yeah, the combo.
So like you burned a hole in your arm.
Yeah.
And then you put what in it?
So basically I lived in Mexico last year, right? And I started working with like plant medicines, so like ayahuasca, bofu, changa, which is like forms of DMT, and then I've heard of Kambo as well. And then whenever I came back to Ireland, this like healer got in touch with me to do Reiki. Have you heard of Reiki healing?
No.
So Reiki healing is like you lie down and she like she doesn't touch you at all, she just moves energy throughout your body. And then she basically was like, oh, I've recently been trained in Kambo. So I was like, yeah, I'll give it a go. Literally didn't have a clue what it was really. And she was just like, a few days before, like no drinking, no like none of that sort of stuff. Like you have to sort of detox. And I walked in and she was like, right, so lift up your sleeve. And she was like, she just like started burning like 5 holes in my arm with like incense. And I was like, right. She was it's basically frog poison, or like some people say it's not poison, but it's like frog poison or like frog venom that they get off these like frogs in the Amazon rainforest, and they like scrape it off their backs, but it's like a healing medicine. So whenever she burned the holes, then she like dabs the sort of the poison onto your arm, and literally within like 10 seconds you're just overheating and shaking, you just start projectile vomiting. It's honestly a horrific experience during it, but you're like projectile vomiting for like 20 minutes. But then after you feel unbelievable, because it's literally getting rid of all the toxic energy and all the toxic stuff inside your body, so you're purging it all out, and you like feel amazing afterwards.
Doesn't sound amazing.
It's honestly horrific journey, so prepare yourself, but like it's actually, you feel class after. Like
we went out, we all went to Manchester, and before we went to Manchester we all were at the like a Pride and, was it the Pride and Pinion party? Was the Pride and Pinion party? Thomas spent most of that night poking
in the bath.
That's why I know quite right. You would not like that.
That's one thing I never do. I never really be sick when I'm at partying, to be fair.
It was a free bar, like, so.
Oh, well, free bars never really like.
We were sitting at like an hour before we meant the taxi was coming from Manchester. Thomas was still in bed, and I was like, "This is getting serious now." Like, me and Shay were like, "We need to make an executive decision. Do we leave him here or do we go on our own?"
Not for going.
And did you go?
That I'd go. Yeah, I was like,
a wee anti-sickness tablet. On his way.
Do wonders, like.
He was grand. We were drinking in the airport and all. He's fine.
Pretty sweet then. That
was
nice.
sweet. You see anti-sickness tablets, hey? Holy fuck.
They work.
There's some job, like.
But you, I know what you're like. You are probably one of the most impatient people I've ever met. So you popped it, and within about 5 minutes, you have to keep it like below your.
You put it
lip.
like below your lip. Yeah, it's
but
weird.
like Bruno got them, and I remember saying to Lucinda, I was like, he will not have the patience to keep this below his lip, guaranteed. And then literally, Thomas put it below his lip. 5 minutes later, I walked back in. I might just swallow this. It's not working. Like, it's not working. I was like, you need to keep it below your lip to like let it dissolve, but you wouldn't be good with the whole sickness thing. Like,
I don't think I could do that. That sounds awful.
It is. It's not a nice experience. But whenever I done ayahuasca as well, a lot of it is being sick. So I was kind of prepared for it already.
Well, but what happens when you do that all stuff like ayahuasca and stuff?
So
like
ayahuasca is, I'd say it was the best night of my entire life. And I'd say it's changed my perspective on myself, on my relationships, on my entire life, and the whole world. Honestly, it's a psychedelic plant medicine. So you basically, I went on my own into the middle of the jungle with like all these like shaman and like loads of these like, there's like 40 people doing it, and you're all like camping out underneath the full moon in like a temple, and then you drink this like medicine, and then for like 12 hours you're like tripping. Every single person's experience is different, right. But I've done it 4 times now. On the first experience, I sort of like was tripping out a wee bit, but I was like seeing the beauty of nature whilst going through my own like childhood or like teenage traumas, even things that you wouldn't have thought was a trauma, but it's actually had a negative effect on your adult life. You go through these things and heal these things and realize why these things happen and how to overcome these things, and then it starts showing you things that you need to do in your life right now to make yourself a better person, to make yourself successful, to make yourself happy and to love life and all this here. And then it just goes on the whole night. It's honestly hands down the best thing I've ever done.
And is someone guiding you through this, or is this just something that you experience completely?
So you're completely on your own. So there's like 40 people doing it, and there's like maybe there's one main shaman, and there's like maybe 4 or 5 other people working at the ceremony, and they're sort of like walking around looking after you, but they're also like singing songs. So like they sing, play music the whole night. So it's like it's a really good vibe, but you're not allowed to speak. So it's a completely solo journey. Throughout the whole night, but it honestly is unreal.
How did you get into this sort of thing? Like, it's
John, it's so weird. So I remember watching the Simpsons movie years ago, and I remember, you know, the woman with the big tits, and Homer's like tripping out. I remember researching that and trying to figure out what that was, because I was just intrigued by it. I don't know why. And I remember like finding this thing called ayahuasca, and this was like years and years and years ago. And then whenever I was going to go to Bali that like last winter, or like Asia, and I was like thinking, fuck, I'd love to do it there because I know it's quite spiritual. But then when I arrived in Tulum, I realized, oh my god, this place is really spiritual. Like that morning, I was like thinking about, oh my god, Tulum definitely does ayahuasca here. So that evening, I literally was in my barber's, and my barber started telling me a story about how his best friend done ayahuasca yesterday. I was like, what the fuck? I was literally thinking about that this morning. And then I just got the guy's number. And I was like,
alignment.
yeah, I was like, fucking, I'm going. May as well.
But what? Why did you start? Like, was this always something you were interested in, or was it just you got into one thing and then one thing led to another, and you were kind of you were open to doing all the stuff? Because I think over here has this mentality where like, that's crazy.
Yeah, 100%. Maybe about 2 years ago, I had like some sort of like spiritual awakening, and for like ages I was sort of focusing on like trying to make myself a better person all this here. So I was listening to loads of like podcasts and audiobooks with like Russell Brand and like all these like big people like talking about like all these things, and I heard ayahuasca mentioned so many times and how it's literally changed nearly everyone's life who's done it. Like obviously everyone's got a different experience, but like nearly every single person I listened to said that it had a massive positive impact on their life. Like it helps like beat the ego and like helps get rid of all like self-doubt, like all negative talk, all that there sort of stuff at the time. So I was like, at that time I sort of at the time I'd done it, I think I was going through a bit of an identity crisis or something, and I was like struggling with getting like trolling and shit. So I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna see, can this like help me beat that? And it did. At that time I was like, I don't give a fuck anymore after it.
Yeah.